Okay, so I'm sitting here with David Reeves, coming off of a successful E3. What's your impressions of this year?
Well, I have to say, I arrived 3 hours ago and I'm leaving tomorrow, so I really can't give you too much of an impression. I can only say that the guys in our company say our press conference was fine, and so was Nintendo and Microsoft, but this hangar concept, I think the people who went there weren't sure what that was about. It was a little bit like kind of an ECTS of 30 years ago or something like that. I don't know, so I bin nicht gewesen, so ich habe keine Ahnung mehr.
But speaking of your press conference and the thing that you had to announce, and then there's a lot of big titles coming out this year for the PlayStation 3. What do you think is the key titles that are going to drive PlayStation 3 sales in Europe?
Well, I think it's going to be the new IPs, the new intellectual properties like Uncharted and Little Big Planet and things like that. I think that we've tried very, very hard to get originality so that people think, thank God, no more sequels. And I think they're going to drive it. In the past, you know, the big ones like Metal Gear Solid, GTA, further back Tomb Raider have been the drivers. But to bring people in, the broader people, not the core gamer, you really need things which are far more interesting. And I really honestly believe that that is what's going to do it this year.
In my opinion, that's something that Sony Europe has been the best branch at doing, to try and broaden the appeal of PlayStation to a wider audience with the likes of SingStar and Boss. That have been really big successes, and now they're slowly coming to the US. Do you see more games like that coming from Europe?
Well, we already have two other concepts in development, like Buzz, SingStar and iToy. And I think like things like Guitar Hero and Rock Band, which require peripherals, have been very successful. SingStar is, as you know, is one of the top titles in Germany, Norway, Sweden, Netherlands, Spain. Maybe not so much in the UK, but maybe we've neglected continental Europe. There are more things coming in the social gaming area. Less violence, more sociability.
Speaking of the price drop that was announced in the US, you decided to go with a bundle solution instead for Europe. Can you elaborate a little bit on why you did that?
Yeah, well, you know, the US also have a bundle solution. They're not really dropping the price. They have some
on the original version.
Yeah, they have the stocking trade, and they have to move them through. And I think by the end of this month, they will all be gone. And everything will be at $599 with the new model by the 1st of August. We don't have that problem in Europe. We don't have huge stocks in trade, so we don't have to drop the price. Maybe in the future we will. We'll have to do it, but you don't drop the price in the summer.
Speaking of the new PSP, what do you think that will mean for the PSP sales and the future of the PSP?
Honestly, I think it will only have a marginal effect. I think that slimmer, lighter will make it more portable. People will be able to carry it. But the big change will be the new games that we'll be bringing out towards the end of the year. I don't think making it lighter and slimmer is going to double sales, honestly. But the games will.
A title that was revealed finally at this year's E3, of course, was Killzone. That's been on the work for a very, very long time. How important do you think Killzone is for Sony in Europe?
I think in certain markets it's going to be absolutely key driver, and in the US as well. I think UK, probably France, certainly Scandinavia and Benelux, and Eastern Europe and Russia. It's going to be very important. But I have to say, it's probably technically the best game I've seen on PS3 so far. Okay, I'm biased, but I think it does look very good.
I agree. Something else that I wanted to ask you is that there's been a slight delay between the release of game on PlayStation Network from the US to Europe. Is that something you're working on getting it like a smaller time margin between those?
Yes, the reason for this is that in the US you can release it on the network just in English. Whether it's an online game on the network or whether it's a disc base, we still have to go through a QA procedure. We're now putting these games into 17 languages so that, yeah, we could introduce the English language game in the UK and then the Germans and the French would say, well, that's even worse, why don't you do it at the same time? So what we do is we delay it by maybe a month, make sure that the QA, the quality is right for the German version or the Dutch or the Danish version before we go out. We've got to speed up these procedures, but online games especially, because they're so sensitive to parental control and things like that, especially in countries like Germany, we have to get it right, and we cannot make mistakes with this and have something in there that is going to offend parents or it's going to be objectionable to children. So we have to check it every single time. That's the principal reason.
Speaking of that, there was recently a big controversy on the Manhunt 2 that was rejected by the British Board of Film Control. And what's your view on that?
Well, first of all, Sony did not reject it. We felt that the PEGI rating of 18 plus was exactly where it should be. And I think we were a bit surprised that the BBFC came out and said that they were going to stop it. They probably would not have stopped it had it been a film, had it been a book. I think that we're penalized in the interactive game industry. I think there are enough controls in there with the rating system that personally I think Manhunt should have been introduced. We did not object to it and we felt the rating was fair.
Speaking of third-party titles, is there any specific third-party title that you think will be very important for PlayStation 3? Of course, we have Metal Gear Solid 4, but something else, perhaps?
I think Haze will be very good. From what we've seen, as a first-party shooter, it'll be very good. And I think Unreal Tournament 3 also is looking extremely good. It's beautifully, beautifully smooth with the engine that they're using. And I would encourage you to have a look at that.
I already have.
Oh, okay, you have, okay.
Okay, so I'd like to thank you for your time.
Okay.
And have a nice party.
Okay, thanks, sir.